Our project is designed to make neuroscientists and humanistic scholars more appreciative of the differences in their understandings of emotion and more attentive to the prospects for reconciling or integrating their approaches. Our goal is to promote a more nuanced neuroscience of emotion and a more scientifically informed philosophical and religious inquiry into the emotions and their relationship to virtue. On the one hand, many philosophers and religious scholars have approached emotions as sources of social and moral awareness, essential for practical reason. On the other hand, many cognitive and biological researchers in the cognitive and biological sciences have tended to see emotions as hardwired, visceral reactions, bypassing and often interfering with rational decision-making. This clash in the understanding of emotion arises from method as well as theory, from the greater attention of the natural sciences to what can be measured, controlled, and replicated. To some extent, the difference is symptomatic of the continuing divide between the two cultures, the sciences and humanities. But it has particular relevance for the study of virtue. The conflict needs to be addressed because emotions play a fundamental role in most plausible conceptions of virtue. And to make the conflict a little more concrete, I'd like to briefly describe two cases where the competing views of emotion have come up against each other. The first is the neuroscientific exploration of the now classic trolley problem, involving our judgments of the comparative acceptability of different ways of killing in order to save lives. Several studies have found greater activity in the prefrontal cortex, the so-called center of reasoning, in more utilitarian judgments that favor switching an unstoppable trolley to a track with fewer people. The second example suggests better prospects for shared understanding. It concerns disgust, the only one of Paul Ekman's basic emotions believed to be uniquely human. Some cognitive scientists hypothesize that disgust evolved from animal distaste through a disgust evaluation system. In addition to examining specific areas of conflict or convergence, such as these, the project will address several types of questions that concern the relevance to virtue of the scientific study of emotion. First, could a brain scan ever assess the sincerity or depth of our emotion, our joy, grief, compassion, or love? Could neuroscientific evidence ever contradict sincere self-reports of emotion? Second, can emotions be successfully manipulated by modifying brain chemistry? Successful not only in the sense of being experientially accurate, but also authentic? Or does the very attempt reflect an oversimplified understanding of emotion? Third, is the capacity to feel emotion necessary for the acquisition of practical reason as well as moral sensitivity? Can moral education transform visceral affect into affective emotion? And fourth, how do Jewish and Christian religious traditions, the traditions in sustained dialogue with Western moral philosophy, understand emotion in relation to virtue, its psychological, moral, and spiritual character, the extent to which it can be cultivated, controlled, and commanded? How do these traditions and their differences contribute to contemporary debates about the roles of emotion in moral judgment, action, and virtue? Our approach would combine the project would combine the working group approach we've used successfully in earlier projects with the target article format developed by interdisciplinary journals like Behavioral and Brain Sciences. Each investigator would contribute a target article to be commented on by a scholar in her own discipline and 2 or 3 others. And this slide lays out the progression of the project from a workshop through a public website to a volume published by a major university press, a volume that we hope would be more tightly structured than conference proceedings, but more integrated than typical academic anthologies. We believe this volume would have a significant impact on the empirical and normative study of emotion.